Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. Thank you for stopping by. And I am live in today's video taking your questions and answering some of the things that you have about special effects makeup and some personal questions, but keep it PG. I mean, don't make me blush. But I'm sitting here, I have my water, and I know that some people will be joining a little bit later on. So I'm going to answer some of the most general questions, the most questions I get often about special effects makeup. So I'm just going to dive in and get into it. And one of the questions is, how long have I been doing special effects makeup? And this is going into my first year. I am self taught and I've never attended school for this. The other question is, have I ever worked on the set of a movie? No, I have not, but I would appreciate the opportunity given that someone knew what my skill set was. Um, let's see, another question that I get a lot is, do I need to know about what do I need to know, I guess, about special effects makeup? And for me is if you can wrap your idea around the ideology of taking things and using them not for their intended use, because when it came to the old school special effects makeup artists, they did not have products that they went out and bought, so they had to know, especially given the environment, what the director wanted, what they needed to do for the type of blood. They made their own blood. There was nothing to purchase, and so if you could wrap your idea around that, because my channel is special effects makeup on a budget. It's taking things that you have on hand and using them not for their intended use, because I can't tell you how many times that I've made a set of horns out of aluminum foil, or I've used cotton or flour in liquid latex to make a paste and sculpt. And so if you can wrap your mind around that part of the creativity, and if you wanted to play and not spend a lot of money, that's a good way to get into it. That's on the hobby side of it. The only recommendation I would make if you wanted to get into it full time is to do that hobby part, to go in and experiment and get a feel for what you actually like. And then once you feel like this is exactly what you want to do, and take a look at a few schools that are available. Um, One other question I get is, what can you recommend to start a kit? And I do have a video where I go through Spirit Halloween. It's called Create Your Own Special Effects Makeup Kit. Um, for the first couple years, I bought from my local retail store, and it was during seasons, during Halloween, and I would stock up and then just use those products for the rest of the year so I could get a feel and know the difference between grease paints, alcohol paints, and water-based paints. But there are people I know that would just rather purchase instead of make a kit. And there are kits that are online through Amazon that I think are in a reasonable budget. There are some that are on the higher end, the well-known Ben Nye and Maron is kind of in the middle. But I do see that there are other creators, other companies coming out and have kits like that. I still think you can keep it within a budget. There's like a good kit I see like under $30, and that's if you didn't want to grab supplies. But you can, in that video, take a look at how you can gather a good amount of product and a lot more of it for that dollar amount equivalent, and really experiment and not expend a whole lot of money. Um, let's see. One of the questions I got from one of my subscribers uh, um, was Omega Maximus, sip, sip, brother, because here I have my water. It's not coffee right now, but will be later. He asked me, how do I pick and choose what I want to do in a look? And usually it's based upon if I have products I need to use up, or if I have some things that I can repurpose. Like in the exposed brain tutorial, I actually use that in the baby girl demon tutorial, where I ripped the brain off of a teddy bear and I used, I repurposed that. So it kind of depends. And also, I try not to make one look. I try to make it different every time. So sometimes you'll get me just doing a lot of paint. Sometimes it will be a complete prosthetic or a fabrication. So, and it's also based upon my energy and what I got going for the week. So that sometimes it just things dictate it for you, but that's how I kind of approach doing that. So, um, what is the other questions I get asked? One of them is, how long does it take to do a look? Now that also depends. It depends on what it is. If I can prefabricate most of it and have it ready by the time I'm on screen doing application. But there has been some times where I'm doing prosthetic buildup as I go, and it between the setting up my station, because I do not do makeup here in this area, because it's so pretty here and I don't want to ruin it with staining it in paints and blood all over the place. But it could take anywhere from 2, 4, 6. It could be a 6-hour day by the time I get done setting up, doing the makeup, taking the breaks that are needed, and doing the skits and doing all the video and the photography work. It can get into a 6-hour day easy. But I do enjoy it. And so when you get into that zone, you start working, and it's like time just goes by. Next thing you know, 6, 7 hours have gone by. One of the questions is, how did I get started? And what was my reasoning, and why did I make the choice? For me, I was a photographer. Some of you may not know, I was a photographer, a professional photographer for over 15 years. I did it all. I did wedding, portraiture, avant-garde, event, product photography. If it paid, I did it. And so, and this one's going to be a little bit of a long story, and so I'll try not to ramble too much. But what had happened to me is I slipped and fell while ice skating one year, and it took pain and nerve damage. I lost the use of my right hand, and I had to have my neck fused. I have a cadaver bone, titanium plate and screws, and so I went from hanging the camera around my neck or my side. I had to alleviate all the pressure around my spine and rest more, and so it kind of pushed me into going studio only. And even at that point, I was kind of struggling with having to maneuver my body around in different ways. And so but then there were some things that were just completely out of my control after that, and it snowballed. It actually escalated. And let me see if I can get through this. So it's pretty harsh, this one. So around that time, I had my neck fused, and I was getting back into doing my work. And then I get a call from my mother that my father had passed away in his sleep. That was around September of 2017. And then October, I lose another parent. And a week after that, I lost an uncle. And then I lost my mother in December. And so within a 4-month span, I lost 4 family members. And that in itself was mind blowing. It was not prepared for that in any way. And then um, that was in December, my mother passed. And then in January, I had a heart surgery. And then in March, I had skin cancer removed. I swear I am not making this up. This is exactly how it went. It did not stop because I got maybe 6 months into the dust settling down on that part of my life. And then I get hit by a tornado. And then so after I got hit by the tornado, I was like, I need a vacation. So I went on vacation, and while I was recuperating, the house was being rebuilt, and I needed that creative outlet. I had been a photographer for over 15 years, and I didn't have that anymore. And I had always loved horror movies. Sometimes I love some of the most raunchiest B horror movies because you can see some of the blood work. And don't get me wrong, I do love CGI incorporated in high, studio productions, but I grew up watching some of those movies that would grace the TV set on the weekend, late night, with Up All Night with Rhonda Shear or Mistress of the Dark with Elvira. So it was those movies that would play, and I would just be sitting there going, whoa, whoa. And so I decided, let me take a shot. I like it. Just let me see if I got anything in there. Let me get and tap into something in my head other than feeling down and out. And so with Elmer's glue and a couple colors of um, my neck. Okay. Hey, Omega, how you doing? Um, so I created a zombie look, and with the knowledge that I had in lighting, I created a burn victim. So I got one look, and I did one look, and I got 2 different looks out of that based upon lighting alone. Hey, Omega. Hey, brother. Sip, sip. Good to see you. My next big project is making a full head bust cast. I need to redo this because I want to sculpt all over toward the back of the head. I want to sculpt my own ears. I want to bring all the makeup down into the shoulders, and the um, the face cast I have now is not working because I've lost a significant amount of weight, and so when I sculpt off of that, I have to trim pieces, and it's causing me to have these harsh lines, and it's driving me crazy because you'll see in the last video I did with the collaboration for Valentine's Day, I had did a look on the forehead and I had to cut it in like on the side and up around the eyebrows, and then I had to uh, post buildup with cotton and liquid latex, and it got all janky, and I was like, and it's just so disappointing, and I don't want to disappoint anyone when I do this, but um, so I need a face cast that actually fits my current face, and that's going to take, it takes about a week to do that. I have to and I think I'm thinking about doing this in different pieces because I have to do the plaster casting. I have to make the mold, and so that might be something I might um, have it in several different pieces, and then the final product, because that will be a long video, and I don't think anyone wants to watch me struggle for over an hour. So I might just kind of um, chop it up in a little bit, in some pieces, because after I do the casting, I have to let it dry. Then I have to pour the plaster, and then I have to sculpt and carve it details, and then I have to cover it with a ton of glue so I can have products that will release off of it. So it might take over a week, but so don't be surprised if you see some videos where I have my arm in the shot and I'm doing like a laceration wound. I just will not be able to get into that big production all over sit down, set up shop tutorial. So there might be a little bit mini tutorials, bullet wound, maybe how to make your own blood. I still need to do some things like that. So that's the next biggest project, but I do have a lot of things. I have a list. I know Omega asked me, how do you choose? And that's because I have a list. It hits my head and I write it down. I sit there and I make a list and I pick and choose what would be best fitted for what I'm going for from one week to the next. Um, Another question I get asked a lot is, who is my favorite special effects artist? Now, let me sip. This is going to get long. But my all-time favorite special effects artist is Tom Savini. And if you don't know who Tom Savini is, go and watch the very first Friday the 13th. It was like one of the first times that you've seen a slasher movie where the camera stayed when the knife was being applied to the neck. So you got the actual slice of the neck and the blood drip at the same time. There was no cutaway and then come back, and then all of a sudden someone was covered in blood. And I admire those that came before me because they didn't have things. They had to rig things up. They had to make things. There was nothing that they could purchase. And so he did come up with a lot of things that are used to this day. And a lot of people have followed in his footsteps. I do love the work that Greg Nicotero did on the Army of Darkness with Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi in those movies, and what he did on The Walking Dead and what he did for that genre as a whole. And what I guess you would call one of the newer artists that a lot of people may not know is Anthony Kozar. He actually was on that sci-fi show Face Off, and he won that year. But he does some absolutely fantastic work. He actually did the special effects makeup in the last Candyman movie. So he's absolutely fantastic. He also has a school as well. So does Tom Savini. So there are schools out there and different things, and several different ways that you can learn from other people. And let's see. Here's a big question I get asked because this is a good concern, and I know a lot of people do not address it, but there are some people that are allergic to adhesives and latex. And so people ask me, what can I do if I want to get into this and I'm allergic to it? It's unfortunate, but there are some things that you can do. Spirit gum, is not irritating to the skin. It might be, but you should always test in the elbow, in the ditch of the arm, to make sure that whatever product you're using. Same thing with reds. Just 30 minutes, before you start anything, give it a little test. You can sculpt in silicone and gelatin. Silicone and gelatin has a natural property. So if you weren't going to wear the look for a long period of time, you can just apply that to the face and it stays. It's got a good staying power. Um, but if you want to secure that, lock that down, there's also a film barrier, skin barrier film that you can use. I've never used it. I'm not allergic, um, but to get away from liquid latex and other glues, I would say stick to spirit gum and Prozade. Prozade is a medical grade adhesive. But do know that once you use these, that you have to have a remover for them. You're not going to want to try to peel anything off. If you like your skin at all, you're not going to want to do that. But there are some things out there that would help you bypass that and save your skin if you know you have the allergy. Um, let's see. Anything else? I didn't want to make this very long. I do have the gift of gab. I could talk forever because if I'm passionate about it, I absolutely love it. And I will go nonstop. So I do intend to do some go live videos where I am applying the makeup and I'm at the very end of last looks where you see me like maybe apply the blood or just go through and see what it takes to do the last look. Because sometimes by the time like I got some big, huge fingernails or some eyelashes that are doing this, I'm actually struggling in the tutorial. And by that time, my makeup and everything is everywhere. And what you don't see, what I cut out in my videos is me searching for a brush for 20 minutes, you know. So I might see you watch me struggle, come and welcome and laugh at me and laugh at my pain and hang out with me. So but let me know if you like more Q&As. I don't mind some personal questions, but like I said, do not make me blush. I'll try to answer everyone as quick as I can. I hope we have more people that show up next time. But yeah, it's my first go live. I'll try to improve everything that I can, and I appreciate you being here and taking a look. And we'll see you later, Omega. And I'm about to go get that coffee. So bye. Have a good one.